Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We are joined with my good friends Papu91 and Dagon Keldrum to keep the saga of Dragon Force. How you doing, boys? Say hello. All of us on camera. Beautiful.
Hello.
Right. With this light, look at this Hollywood smile. Voilà.
It's delightful, delightful, my friend.
This is like toothpaste commercial smile. This is yeah.
So,
I need to get a better tan.
boys, I'm just gonna ask you fast if you can see if the sounds are relatively okay of the voices and things.
I think they are. It was buffering a little for me, but I think
Voice
that's
sounds pretty good.
You guys?
And our voices sound okay as well, I think.
Yeah?
Maybe slightly
fine.
lower in comparison to yours.
I can put it a bit louder for you
Yes.
guys. Give me a second.
okay.
Is that better
fine.
now? Speak. Speak if you want. Speak if you wish.
Press the start button. Sega Enterprises. English, yeah. Fine.
Limited 1996 English translation.
Correct. So, I started this saga yesterday, basically, and I picked Wayne as my main character because it's basically the beginner character and the character you should start the game as. So I was like, man, fuck it, let's do that. And I've barely played anything. I just went for kind of like entered a few battles, showed the different areas of the game. What do you play in the administrative side, the strategy side, and the fighting side. And basically, right now, what we're trying to do is take Wayne to Pale Moon to meet Taris, his love affair, so we can get our first ally. That's pretty much
Okay.
where we are in the game. So yeah, here we go.
Wait, we're gonna meet love affair or somebody else's love affair?
No, his love affair, basically.
His love.
His love affair.
So they're in a long distance relationship.
Well,
And
they
that
are.
usually works out.
As far as I remember, because it's been a while, I think they're engaged to like get their kingdoms merged somehow, or that they're like mismatched lovers,
Oh,
something like that.
okay. So it's diplomacy and love. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Great.
Everyone. So, I don't remember what I was doing. I think that I have some awards to give. I don't know if you guys remember much of the game. I know I showed you boys the game before.
Mm-hmm.
A little
I've
bit.
played
I
the
played it
beginning.
with you for maybe 5-10 hours a few years ago. And then that was it. I tried to play it on the phone, but with the Mega Drive, with the Saturn controls on the phone and not having the instruction book for the game, it got very difficult because it was a Dragon Force 2. This is Dragon Force 1.
Yeah, Dragon Force 2, it's always, even though Dragon Force 2, and I mentioned it in my last stream, is a clear upgrade from this game, it's much better to start with this because, well, simply because there's a lot more going on in the second one, and this will give you all the bases you need, pretty much. What I'm doing right now is I'm upgrading I'm basically just upgrading some of my factions because I got some awards for winning fights. I am gonna get away from this administrative screen pretty fast. I'm just doing a little bit of organizing. None of these things really matter.
Do you want to talk us through this organization?
So yeah, yeah, you weren't here on my last stream, but basically what happens is this is the administrative side of the game, okay? So what happens here is, at the end of every turn, you go back into your castle, and you can basically sort of like do some maintenance around what happens within the game. By that being said, awards are where you give your generals an upgrade on their factions, and you receive awards every time you win battles. Items are things that you collect or find within the game that you can equip on your characters that give them boosts, such as health, such as strength.
Right?
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Audience is where you can talk to your generals or talk to captives that you've captured. And basically, by talking to generals, you can get hints, you can see if they're doing okay, if there's any problem, what they want. And if you talk to captives, you can try to convince them to join you and become your allies. Which I'm gonna do that right now. See, this guy just joined me. He's like, okay, I'll help you, but my price isn't cheap. It's bullshit. There's no price involved in this shit. Let's promote this guy.
Price is your dignity.
Yeah, exactly. So now I got 2 more guys just because they want to. The Generals tab is just so you can have a look at all your officers, basically. And search is where...
How many can you take with you when you go
Say again, I
on the
didn't
battlefield?
understand.
How many officers can you take with you
5.
when you go on the battlefield?
5.
5.
You can do a lot of different like exploration units, but the maximum per division is 5, pretty much. Here on search, basically when you are in a castle, you can search the vicinity of the castle and try to find items. And fortify basically allows you to make the castle level stronger, which in turn, if you're defending the castle, makes it easier to fight in the castle, things like that. Aside from that, the way I play is in the beginning, I don't keep any headquarters. I just move around as much as possible so I can start, gathering as many allies as possible, and then eventually I start settling in different castles. So that's done for the domestic part. Now we're gonna go to the battlefield and to the map. Okay. So.
Hey, I remember this takes a long time.
It does. Unfortunately, that's...
And you have to look around. While they walk, you can look around.
Yeah, exactly.
Check whatever else is happening at the same time.
I thought that there was a way to, like, speed up the game, but but there isn't. Like, there really isn't. So... Okay. So basically what's happening right now is... Why are you not entering? I have too many generals in here. I don't care about you. No, you go fuck off. You go fuck off to that castle. I don't need you. There we go. So, what I want to do is I want to take my division from this castle over here to the Pale Moon Kingdom, where I will meet Taris. And I have this castle here on the way that I have to defeat first. So, first things first, what you want to do in this map before you venture out is recruit soldiers. And that's what I'm gonna do now, before anything bad happens. Yeah.
Recruit soldiers.
Yeah, recruit. And the amount of soldiers in each castle increases depending on how long you are within that castle, basically. So there's that. I still got 45
Castle
left.
is also subject to attack, right?
Say again?
That castle can be subject to attack.
Yes, correct.
The enemy can attack your castle.
Correct. I am gonna leave some... I'm gonna
leave
leave some people behind so that they can defend it, because I can't take everyone anyway. I'm gonna leave some people here. But first I need to wait just a little bit so I can recruit everyone I need. These guys, they keep coming for me like little bitches, which is very, very, very frustrating. Because they're very annoying and they're very strong. And they just keep on trying to attack my castle for no fucking reason.
Are those the Beastmen?
Yes,
no.
Those are the Beastmen.
What are the Greek people?
Yeah.
The Beastmen.
The Beastmen who are assholes, basically. Okay, you go there. Please, I wish that I could do just a little bit of speeding up. I really do.
I think we lost Papu.
Did we now? Yeah, it looks like we did.
No, you didn't. You did not. You did not.
Yeah.
I told you I turned my camera off for a moment.
Yeah,
I
I
did,
know,
okay,
but
that's
that messes up the thing I did. But thanks. That's alright.
Now you got two screens.
Nah, we're good. We're good.
Mirrored.
We're back. We're back.
We're good. Oh, good.
Okay. So we're gonna enter a battle now because clearly we're gonna have to. Let's do that.
There are still some games that kind of kept this legacy of tactical JRPG. Is this how we would categorize?
I would
this type of
categorize
game?
this as a strategy, real-time strategy
JRPG.
kind of JRPG.
Oh, okay.
Because there's no other game like this one, really. Like, I don't know any other game that has this kind of exact development.
Valkyria Chronicles is similar,
it's
but
turn-based. This you're gonna see.
Sure.
You're gonna see now that this happens in real time, pretty much. There's no. The turn-based is just the different turns you take in the different parts of the game. The fight itself is not really.
That would be something interesting to see, to find games that still pick up this formula like this game here. Maybe games like this exist today, but just like this game, they are not very well known. Maybe
True.
they're very underrated or under the radar type of thing.
Very true.
Some mobile games are like this. It's not uncommon. I can't think of the names of any titles right away, but when I've been like window shopping, like scrolling to see what kind of games I've interested, I found stuff that is similar to Dragon Force.
You have?
Yeah, not in the way the
Wouldn't be
battle
surprised.
plays out, because it's in the battle it's basically idle, right? But it's basically card-based games that act as units, and then you let it play out the way you select the battle. So, for example, right now, in these games, you would have no control whatsoever. Of course, then microtransactions, they want to make you pay for the cards, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
I've seen a similar formula on mobile, but not quite as Dragon Force. Dragon Force still nails it for me. The way it moves, although it's very... It's original. Let's call it that, right?
Sure.
You have to get used to Dragon Force. I think that if it wasn't for you explaining to me how it plays, as a kid, I would have taken my time reading a manual, and I would have to try to find a way to make it make sense.
I will tell you one
for me.
thing. The manual itself, like on the game, the manual of the game explains so much. Like, it really makes the whole difference, basically.
Yeah, back in the day when manuals were intrinsic to...
Like, no, seriously, had I not...
PC games, you can buy a box,
Play the game.
like a dictionary-sized box for a PC game, with the CD and manual, and then like stickers and maybe a little figurine or some shit.
Because the thing is, like, this game, without help, which is... The first time I played it, I didn't know anything about it, but I did have the whatchamacallit. I did have the manual. But without it, I would never have been able to understand shit of what was going on. Yeah. By the way, this is the thing that I'm doing right now is when you play with mages, which is the case that I'm doing now, they're basically weak against everything except zombies and harpies. But the way I've learned to play with them is what you do is you keep at a distance after you defeat the other guy's army, and you just fucking spam him with magic because he can't attack you. He's just gonna stay there. This is the way to do it. And now what I can do is use my special power to get all my army back. Resurrect. There we go. And he retreats because he's a little bitch.
Coward! Get after him.
Absolutely. I would, but right now I gotta defeat all the other ones first. Alright.
Oh, right, because they send you a bunch of people to your face,
Correct.
right? Not just one guy.
Correct.
Mhm.
So
I forgot about that. Shit.
So I don't really have, like, a lot of my guys are not really that developed, but I also don't want to send out my stronger dudes because I want to save them so I can send them right after to the castle.
Mhm.
What I'm gonna try to do is that girl has 30 beasts. Beasts are good against cavalry, so I can't send out my cavalry. I'm gonna try this. Hilga is a thief, so basically, what she does is she's very good at making the other character diminish her superpower, and I have to stop the other player from using her superpower because she can use it like 2 times because she has a lot of MP. Anyway, I know it's a lot of info, but it's just there's a lot of things happening at the same time, and
That's fine.
Actually, surprising how much is refreshing in my mind from what I knew. I think if I just picked up the game now, it would be very confusing. But as you're explaining everything, my brain is going, "Oh yeah, okay."
like,
But
for
for someone
example,
who's listening in for the first time,
yeah. For example, the thing that she's doing now, she has a bigger army than I do. But the way I see it is, if you stay still on defense and you let them come to you, you inherently have the upper hand. As you can see.
with this particular setup, your units against those units,
Yes.
right?
Also, the fact that I'm in a castle gives my guys more defense, pretty much, as well.
Oh, so basically, terrain gives you boosts
And
depending on what kind of units you have.
And not only that, but the terrain influences each different faction has attributes that are enhanced or basically worsened due to terrain. This game is
Okay,
super
what about-
complex.
Okay, so terrain makes a difference. What about home field versus enemy? Like, if you're in your territory, do you get a boost? Or if you're in the enemy territory, does he get a boost?
Well, the
Or
thing
that
is,
doesn't-
if it's a castle, that's the only way it can be a territory. If it is a castle, then yes, you get a boost, usually 16%. If he's in his
If it's
castle,
your
he
castle.
gets, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's his castle, it's a boost 16% for him. Or
So what if it's a castle, your castle, and you're defending it, and it's yours? So, meaning, I mean, your castle and you're defending, that means your units can get 2 boosts.
basically.
Home castle and the fact that you are indoors.
Yes,
Right?
it depending on what faction you're using. Yes. But you can see, like, if you look at the screen, it says terrain effect plus 18% on my side, and on his side it says 0%. So inherently...
Can you check what that 18 is?
Can I check what?
Where can you check what that 18 is? Is it 18 for one thing, or is it like 9 plus 9?
It's 18
or
for
It
defense.
just says 18. 18 for... It just shows 18.
It just shows
You
18.
you need the manual.
You need the manual to know. Otherwise, you would never have guessed. Like, there's just no
Okay.
fucking way. Same way that in the manual, they show you which factions are good against which. Now, I spent years of my life playing without knowing and actually writing down because I had no idea what they were. So I was like, every time I had battles, I was like, okay, so this one is good against this one is good against this one. And then if you look at the manual, it just has a massive page with everything just completely written out. Manuals back in the day were just a whole other thing. You know, it's like, seriously, I miss it. But okay, let's send. I want to finish this guy quickly. I'm just gonna send this guy. Okay. But yeah, the thing is also, like, I didn't even know about all those attributes about the terrain until maybe my 20s, because as a kid, I had the manual, like, I had the game for a short period of time. I owned it, and then eventually something happened and I lost the game. But I only looked at the manual maybe a few times, because at the time I was just like, I just want to play the game, fuck it. But I mean, I was 6. I mean, bro, you know, I mean, who gives a shit at that time?
Learn to read.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like, fuck it, you know? Okay, I'm gonna raid you. Let's raid your ass. And every different general, depending if they're knights, depending if they're soldiers, depending if they're thieves, if they're ninjas, if they're samurais, have also different specialities here in the tactics deployment, pretty much. And this is how you control your army. The only thing that you do that can basically stop you from using tactics is if you put melee. You basically tell your soldiers to charge, and it's like they become beagles. They don't listen to you anymore. It's just like, yeah, go for it. Fuck it. You can't use fucking tactics anymore. It's impossible. So yeah. So right now, I'm sending a force up, and I'm staying on defense. And there we go. It's just gonna die.
Basically, for melee,
Yeah.
you can't do anything. So basically, it means full frontal attack, forward charge.
Yeah, like, see, look.
Fire at all horses charge. Yeah.
And what they do is they'll go after all the soldiers, and once all the soldiers are dead, they'll go for the guy. Basically.
Yeah, that's something just to basically finish off your opponent. It's not something you want to use from the get-go unless there's a good reason to.
Exactly. Little pussy-o. Retreating like a bitch.
So more often than not, they also retreat instead of fighting till the end.
Oh yeah, all the time, bro. All the fucking time. I'm gonna send the king. I'm gonna send my fucking king after this guy.
Because then you have to go in pursuit. You have to pursue them. If you didn't capture them, you have to pursue them.
You do, and the thing
by pursuing them, leaving your previous spot vulnerable if somebody else is coming that way. Which is something you can check when you're back in the
map.
The map war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Alright, are you guys coming for me, right? Look at him. Look at this fucking idiot. Beasts are stupid as fuck. They just charge at you all the fucking time. It's like, bruh, think. Don't. That's fucking idiots.
In this game, can you control individual parts of your squad, or you can only control it all at once?
You can control individual parts of your squad depending on what technique you use and depending on what generals use those techniques. Like if you use raid, for example, you control the front part of your team. Same as right now, because I used surround, I can regroup and they'll regroup there, the front part. I can use disperse and they'll disperse again. I can use advance, and only the top part advances. Like, my back part always stays in defense. But because I just want to fucking kill this guy, I'm gonna fucking... Look, he had 40 soldiers, right? I mean, 40 beasts. He killed 2 of my soldiers. That's it. That's it. He's a fucking idiot. These guys don't know how to fucking play the game. Sonic! Boom!
Sonic?
Yeah. So here we go. He's gonna retreat, of course, because they always retreat. I mean, I say they always retreat, but there are certain factions, like the Skull Children, which are generals that are supposedly immortal. They'd never retreat. They will die every time, but then their bodies disappear. And eventually they come back to life. It's like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. I'm gonna capture him because his health is too low, and I have too many factions, like too many soldiers. I think he's gonna get captured. Yep. There we go. See, depending as well, they can retreat, but if they have low health and I have a lot of units, they still get captured.
Interesting.
Just this game has so many things to it. It's fucking insane.
How long is the story for this game? For an adult to play the first time?
How long? Long.
Yep.
Long. Like I'd say that even I'm gonna do a proper playthrough. I'm looking at least 20 to 30 hours to get to the final part.
That's okay.
But that's because I've played the game before and I know what I'm doing.
Right.
If you've never played the game, I think this game probably can take around 50 to 60 hours easily for one for one playthrough. Yeah, probably. I think so.
Yeah.
Also, you got to remember that the game goes relatively slowly as well. You know, so there's always that too. I'm gonna try to capture the guys that are leaving, but I don't know if I have the time. Let's see. Gotcha. Okay, we're good.
Gotta change my setup because low on battery.
Do what you gotta do, son. Rutger, go for it, boy. So yeah, this game is like, to some degree, it's a slow game because everything happens slowly. Apart from battles, everything else happens pretty slowly. So you do have to be patient, and I think that's also why the game takes quite a lot of time. Because everything takes time. And really, you have to think a lot about things. I kind of play this a little bit more intuitively and very, like, straightforward. But you should there is a lot to think about. And the thing is, in the second one, there's a lot more things to consider as well, because there's a lot more elements to the game that they've, you know, developed. Such as mining and going to different, like, dungeons, like dungeon crawling. There's a dungeon crawling aspect of it. It's very fucking complicated, honestly. So, but yeah, I would definitely, if I do a full one of this, and then if it goes well, I might do one of the second one as well, just because the second one, not only can you have more soldiers on stage...
But you want a full campaign of this?
Like for one character, not for...
Oh, for one deal, for one, that's a lot of hours.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean... If I
it's
do...
fun.
I mean, it's fun for me. Hopefully it's fun for whoever's watching. But, yeah, I adore this game. I said it in my last stream yesterday. I was saying that this is definitely, I think, in my top 3 favorite games of all time. Like, I love this game. It's, can't get enough of it.
Favorite.
Huh?
So it's Dragon Force, Sekiro, and Ocarina of Time? That's it?
Sekiro's not on the top 3, I don't think.
Really?
You're always itching for it. You platinumed it. Sorry, you 100%ed it. And then you kept playing after that. And even though you finished it like thrice after you got 100%, you told me yesterday you want to play it.
The funny thing is I actually played it yesterday.
It's not on your top 3. Is it on your top 5?
It's on my top 5, I think. But I would have to actually, like, really think about it, but I don't think it's on the top 3. For me, a top 3 again? Like, you gotta understand, a top 3 game doesn't necessarily mean I want to play it all the time. It just means that it has that
the top 3 that you love the most. Right. It's not Desert Island game, take 3, it's your best 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite special all time. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's games that I played that I adore that I don't think I would play again because the experience is good enough and extraordinary enough that doesn't make me want to play it again. It's like, I went through it. Or sometimes they're so emotionally charged that you don't want to go through them again. You know?
I got both of those with Mass Effect. I played through the trilogy once and I was like, I think I'm good. And I love it. And it's still, for me, I think also top 3 of all time. Even though I only played through it once. I promised myself I'd do another run, I never did. I know the Legendary Edition is out, but why? It was so beautiful the first time around.
But for you, is it the trilogy or is it a specific one?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously Mass Effect 2 was the shit. And 3 was rushed and very action packed, and people complained about the ending, blah blah blah. But still, as a whole, because I played Mass Effect as a trilogy, I
Right.
played the first one and then I quit. But then I went back to it properly because I was playing it on a keyboard and mouse, and it just wasn't working. And when I bought it for the 360, I bought the trilogy. I bought a pack, like
Sure.
it comes with all the games inside, and I absolutely loved it. I played through it over a summer, and it was amazing. Yeah. And when I was finished, I was like, oh, isn't it the most beautiful thing? So yeah. And this was after having played Skyrim, which at the time was very immersive as well. Not on my top 3, Skyrim, but Mass Effect, yeah. And it's funny because you guys know me, I like RPGs, but I'm not classically an RPG player.
Sure.
But in my top 3, top 5, like 2 or 3 of those are RPGs. So, which that can attest to how good the genre in itself is, or how good
Yeah, of
those
course.
games are. Dragon Force is one of my favorite games that I've never owned, that I've
Sure.
only played with friends. I was like, oh, I wish I played this when I was younger. I think a 12-year-old me would have loved Dragon Force.
That's
Right
a
up
fair
my
point.
alley. And I think I wouldn't even have looked at it as an RPG game. I would have looked at it as a strategy game that works on console. Because still today, most strategy games on console don't. I mean, you want strategy, you play on PC, right?
Yeah.
But this one plays super well on console. I mean, given that playing it on PC, because if you don't have a Sega Saturn, obviously you have to emulate. But still, the setup is really nice, and I love how it plays, how it's simple, but you can do so many things with it. It's like playing checkers in a way. Like you're only given very few tools, but once you know the lay of the game and what you can do with it, the possibilities are almost limitless in a way.
Right. Gotcha.
And I really like that about Dragon Force. That's why when I mean, I remember when we did it, it was at your place in Brussels
Yeah.
in the summer or something like that, and you just showed it to me. You were just showing it to me, and we ended up playing 4 hours, and then another 4 hours the day after, a few days later, and then another playthrough a few days later. I remember we got about halfway through the main campaign with a character. It
Sounds
was
about
good.
right.
You were playing it, I was watching and advising, and it was really cool. Yeah, I like this game very much.
Me
It's a
too.
pity they don't make a version of it for Android.
Well, that's the
I think
thing
it would
is,
work.
I think that they only remade it or made another version of it on PS2. I'm pretty sure that there's a, I don't know if it's a remake or if it's its own version. I'm not sure. But there is a PS2 version of this game, and that's the last time the Dragon Force was ever anything. You know, never again. So I don't understand how it died out.
17
It's a
years
very
ago? No,
niche
more.
genre. It's kind of reminiscent of tabletop war games like Warhammer and stuff like that.
That is fair.
And
Yeah, but the audience who likes it, there's no so fans. I think the people who like it, they love it. They don't see it as something that just went through casually. It's a game that does not get mentioned often. When I listen to it on people's, on gaming podcasts or conversations, but the person that does mention it, they do like say that they like it very, very, very much.
Right.
of course.
So it's funny that way.
I get you.
I'm gonna hurt Jack's feelings. I'm gonna say it's like the Avenged Sevenfold of video games.
Oh, ooh, ow.
Ow, pain.
Big ouch, man.
No, this isn't cheap.
Big ouch,
No.
man.
Okay, fine. It's the Larry and the Cable Guy of video games. It's the Star Trek Atlantis of video games. How about that? Stargate Atlantis. Sorry, not Star Trek. It's the Stargate of video games. Unfair?
Okay, fine. I'll give it to you.
Fine.
Fine.
Speaking of which, are you still watching Star Trek?
Yeah, I am. Slowly, because I was finishing other things, but I'm still on the next generation, basically. So, it's gonna take me forever to watch, like, everything, though. Like, I'm only on season 3 of Next Generation. I think there's 7 or 8 seasons. And then...
How many seasons of Star Trek? It's like 16 or 17, right? All of them together?
What do you mean, all of them together? From all the shows?
From the beginning, from the first Star Trek.
Dude, Alfonso, there's like 30 seasons or 40. If you want to look from the beginning.
There's 40 seasons total.
Easily. Yeah.
I thought it was like 15, 20.
You're forgetting
Shit.
that there's also the cartoon series, which is literally all of them that are cartoons.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the original run for Star Trek, and then also Star Trek Next Generation, and the movies that came out. Those direct-to-TV movies from Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Netflix shows and the cartoons.
Right.
I'm talking those two, the core ones, the mainstream ones.
So
that people knew between the 60s and the 90s.
So let's think about it. So you got so you got the first Star Trek, the original series. Then after that you got Next Generation. Then after that you got
how much is those two together? The original and Next Generation.
The original is 3 seasons. The Next Generation, I think it's 7 or 8, but it intertwines with Enterprise, which came out, they were releasing Enterprise 1 while releasing Star Trek Next Generation. Then you got Deep Space Nine, which is also around 9-10 seasons, I think. Now you have the new series that I don't even know about that well, that have like 2 or 3 seasons each. So...
the Scrub shit on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's all on Netflix. Like, all the Star Trek stuff is on Netflix. Pretty much. As far as I know. Alright. We're finally moving along. Finally. Oh my god, this guy is coming for me, isn't he? Ah, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh god, oh Rick. Oh, jeez. Oh god.
To move, deploy shit you don't want to with those weak ass troops.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm probably gonna lose some people.
You have a fighting.
But I have a what?
Yeah, you will. I'm saying you have a fighting chance, but you will lose people.
Oh yeah. Oh no, maybe they're not coming for me. Nah, they're going for the other guys. We're fine.
Alright. Okay. I was gonna say that makes no sense. But...
well, clearly, if you look at Tradnor here, the Reds, they're expanding very fast. So, like, if you look at the map, the Reds are expanding, so the Greens, the Greens, that's the problem with the Beasts. The Beasts are the hardest characters to play with, because they're the most isolated, and they're the ones that don't make allies at all. Like, so... they're the hardest faction to play as, I think, personally.
You're red or silver?
Me? I'm silver. I'm white. Yeah. Silver, white, yeah. I probably have more generals than most people, but because I only have 1 castle, it doesn't really count as though my kingdom is very high up. Well, what do we have here? Pitiful assassins from the realm of Highland. You have no authority to meddle in my affairs here. Traven is not your concern. Go home. Because if you do not leave, I'll tear you limb from limb. While you about to die, son. Let's do this. So, cavalry. I got 5 for 5. Okay. Everybody's pretty okay. I'm gonna send my mage up first. Okay, I'm probably gonna lose some peeps in this fight, most likely. Hopefully not.
I've been thinking a little bit more, but yeah, all other tactical JRPGs that I can think of are mostly turn-based as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics.
I'm telling you, there is no other one that has the same kind of real-time strategy concept as this one.
Right, the upcoming, what's it called? Triangle strategy.
Inside turn-based.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, I'm fucked. I chose the wrong faction.
Let's start that debate real quick. I'm going to ask Lolo, because you've done a lot of both these RPGs, and Final Fantasy also has both. Do you like more turn-based, or do you like real-time which you can pause? Or real-time that you cannot pause?
It depends. Both are good. They're both... it's like enjoying strawberries and chocolate separately, but also enjoying when it's mixed. I don't know. What a stupid comparison. But
see, you like both then, okay?
I like both, and sometimes when it's done well, I like the hybrid of it as well. Like, for example, Dragon Age tried to incorporate like a hybrid of turn-based and real-time action, right? It was more apparent on the third game that with both series, Mass Effect and Dragon Age, BioWare was really trying to put an emphasis on action-based RPGs, right? And I think only on Dragon Age Inquisition did they manage to strike a good balance where you could seamlessly pivot from fluid action-based to to a more freeze tactical.
I will argue that.
Command. Huh?
I will argue that. I will argue that in the way that I don't like Chiz. I think that mechanic works really well for Mass Effect. But there's so much up close combat in Dragon Age that I found myself pausing all the time because the attacks they get timed, and then you can choose what you can do again. I found myself that pausing in the middle of a fist fight didn't make sense. Of course, pausing in the middle of a distance firefight also doesn't make sense. But it feels like it's more okay to do than doing it all the time when it's happening up close. You know what I mean? Because you get the feeling that if it's a fist fight or hand-to-hand combat with spears and swords and stuff and shields, you feel like there should be a sense of continuity to it. Or you can pause to do a power-up, but not pausing all the time every time you want to switch it. Guys, you don't need to play like this, but this is the optimal way to play if you want to make sure you can do everything possible to win or to get all the odds on your side. You don't have to play this way, but if you can, you'll have a better chance of winning, obviously. And I felt that with because of the magic and because of the melee attacks, it felt like it didn't make sense to me in Dragon Age. For some reason, makes sense in Mass Effect, right? But in Dragon Age, it doesn't make sense.
I 100% disagree with what you just said, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Which Dragon Age were you talking about?
Makes sense. Come again?
Which Dragon Age were you talking about?
Position. We're talking about the fact that you can pause a game while it's happening to decide what you want to do in the middle of a fist fight or melee fight or a firefight. Sure. And I was just sharing that for some reason, I didn't mind that part when I'm playing Mass Effect because most things happen from a distance, you know? Okay. But somehow it bothered me and I thought it was stupid and it doesn't make sense when it's like a hand-to-hand combat in Dragon Age. The same exact mechanic, but one game is like sci-fi, fantasy, action. The other one is basically fantasy. What do you call it? Fantasy
Sword and
melee.
magic.
Yeah, and magic. Yeah. So it's like, why would you stop someone in the middle of a spell? But in Mass Effect, why would you stop someone in the middle of throwing a grenade? Because the power has rebooted.
I don't understand this. Why? I think it's just part of the gameplay. I think it really works well with Dragon Age Inquisition, and I think it's what it. For example, like in the first one, Dragon Age Origins, it was a little bit impossible in the later stage of the games to play it without pausing the game. Like you said, the most optimal way to play those games is to
keep doing it.
Yeah. But I felt that with Inquisition, it was the one that worked the best to seamlessly pivot from the fluid action to the strategy pause command thingy.
But I found myself, when playing Inquisition, a lot more time in that pause aspect of managing the characters than I did in the live melee of the thing.
Well,
you know?
Maybe it's because it was your first experience with that type of tactical.
It wasn't, because I played Mass Effect. Mass Effect
but there
before.
you go. Mass Effect is not a very... Mass Effect is the other end of the spectrum, where it's the most action-based of that type of gameplay, right? But yeah.
Maybe because I expected Dragon Age Inquisition to be more action-oriented, when in fact it was the same formula as before, but with a different set of paint. And I should have approached it that way. I thought this was going to be more like real life action.
I would argue that they actually managed to flesh out in Inquisition what they were not able to with the two previous games.
No, but I'm comparing to Mass Effect. I'm not comparing to the previous games. I thought Dragon Age Inquisition played way better than its predecessors. In fact, I didn't play Dragon Age 2 because I thought it was like... I didn't feel the appeal, you know? But with Inquisition, I was like, oh, this is Mass Effect, but with, you know, fantasy... Mass Effect gameplay with a fantasy coding. And for some reason, it didn't click with me, because I'm a fucking moron. Like, I should... There was something in the approach that didn't feel right, you know? It's like trying the same gravy, but with a different dish. And usually you like this gravy, but with this different dish, it doesn't feel the same. You're like, dude, you're comparing chicken nuggets to fish fingers. It's almost the same thing. But for some reason, ketchup with fish fingers is not for me. You know? It's good with everything else, but not with fish fingers. And that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, in Dragon Age Inquisition, some people say the story is a bit weak. I don't think so. I thought it was cool. It kept me engaged. It was the being in the pause menu all the time that I couldn't stand anymore. And I was like, you know what? This is not an action game. It's not a squad game. Fuck this. It's like real life strategy, but in the middle of a melee fight, it didn't make sense to be pausing all the time. Go figure.
I disagree, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
For me, this is an unfair comparison, but it would be like saying I don't like XCOM because there's so much pause in XCOM. There's no fluid action.
Dude, I like XCOM. How dumb is that then? You know,
I'm okay with Mass Effect. Hyperbolizing the
Inquisition is like.
Yeah. So you were expecting Dragon Age Inquisition to be more action oriented, and it didn't. What's the word I'm looking for? It didn't click well with you.
The dumb part, it is action oriented. You don't have to press pause and manage everything if you don't want to. You can do it in real time.
Yeah.
But if they, I think in my mind, if they took the pause option away from me, I would have maybe had more fun with it.
That's strange, but sure.
It is. It's challenging in a different way. You know.
Okay.
It's like learning to dunk a basketball, but you have a trampoline. You're gonna do it easy and quick every time, and you're gonna get tired of it quick.
This topic, it's interesting to me. It would be interesting to me to see what your reaction would be to games like Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy 15 or the Final Fantasy 7 remake, because it does touch on exactly what we are exploring right now on this topic. But yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, I didn't continue because of different reasons. But
yeah, just play the third one to see what the latest iteration feels like.
Yeah, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. It didn't keep me hooked. And the first boss was weird and difficult, and too much what the fuck stuff going on just for the sake of what the fuck, and changing the setting too much and the way the game controls. Because the boss fights themselves often feel like mini games, right? So you have to get used to this thing again. And if you die, you're sent back to the beginning, and you gotta do it again. But it's a wonderful game. You know what's funny though? I think that if I went back to Dragon Age Inquisition, I would probably enjoy it very much because I knew what to expect from the get-go in terms of playstyle. And I've had the itch to go back to it. I actually own the game. I never left that initial area. I made myself a character. I played like 4 hours, and that was it. You know, that weird little green energy thing that you have to defeat or whatever. It turns out that you're not supposed to stay long in that area. That's like a prologue. Just move on. Go live your life with that game. That's what I was told.
That game is super dense in the sense that it's not that it's dense as in complicated, it's just dense as in the amount of stuff to do. Like it's just like an avalanche of side quests. I have fond memories of it. I played a mage female elf. And I have very fond memory. I don't think I'll ever play that game a second time, borrowing from what Jack was just saying.
There you go.
But I do have very fond memories of that game.
The problem I had with that game, I felt like my side quests were meaningless.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't add anything to the story. Like, not even The Witcher is different, obviously, but not even like Skyrim. You know, in Skyrim, there's a bunch of side quests you don't have to do, but you feel like they add to the experience of the game. While this was just
reading as well. So a lot of the flavor of the world building sometimes does not get fleshed out enough, as in level design and gameplay. There's a lot of text. Yeah.
Games that Monsieur Matumbine, Monsieur Jacques.
Yes.
Doesn't really play, right?
Doesn't what? Sorry, say again.
You don't really do these types of games, do you?
Not really. I mean, it's a lot of reasons, but like, you mean games like Dragon Inquisition and things like that, yeah?
Dragon Age Inquisition, yeah.
Yeah.
Games that mix live action with pausing with.
I mean, I do when it's more like, for example, like you were mentioning XCOM and things like that. Those are more my type that go along those lines. Dragon Age, I don't think I've ever even really tried it. It's never really been something. But it's, you know how it is for me. When RPGs are too dense, not only for story purposes, but a lot of things like upgrades, a lot of different trees to level up, things like that. Too much development for me. It becomes a hindrance.
Speaking of which, recently you delved a little bit on what's the other one called that I've tried as well with my brother, and you tried
Divinity.
With Divinity. Yeah, Divinity.
Yeah. Well, Divinity is fine because Divinity has more of a D&D vibe to it. I can't explain it, but it feels different.
It's more adventure-y, open world stuff.
And the thing is, in all fairness, I started playing it with my girlfriend, but if I play it alone, I
You wouldn't have. The
I
same
don't
appeal
enjoy
to
it. I don't enjoy it
Yeah.
alone because there's too
I
much
understand.
to handle. But with someone, like I
Playing
find it
with
super
someone
fun.
that already has been through the game
Yeah.
does add. Yeah.
It makes all the difference. Like seriously, all the fucking difference. That's what I mean. That's what I noticed for me. But obviously, well, I mean, it's not a. It's a great game. Like I can say it straight away. And I did play it on my own as well. But I stopped after a few hours playing it on my own. I was like, it's too much, brah. Sorry, not happening. But yeah, I did enjoy it a lot. Again, like those games, and you know me, I've always been more of a backseat gamer. Like I love basically watching people play. So if you're gonna play something like that, and you're gonna talk to me about it and things, that's still fun. Whilst at the same time, those kind of games where you spend too much time on menus paused take away from the pleasure of watching someone play. So, if I don't derive pleasure from watching someone play it, I probably wouldn't play it myself. Huh?
This is a game where you spend a lot of time on menus too.
Yeah. Well, it is, I guess. I guess you're right. That's true. But inherently, it's not a complex game. It's a 90s game. You know, even though there's density within the game, I can pick it up like I did when I was 6 and figure it out. If I was 6 and I was trying to play Dragon Age Inquisition, I wouldn't have been able to play it. You know what I mean?
You're saying games where you're not, it's not sold to you that you're going to spend a third of the game in menus, but then it's such an inherent part of the game that you do and you don't think much about it. I had that impression, for example, when I was playing The Witcher 3 when it came out, because the menus were a bit off. You spent so much time in menus in that game. I would say at least a third or more of my time
Really?
was spent in menus in the beginning. Yeah, but then they fixed it. They rearranged how certain things work. But I was surprised how much time I was in the menus. You know, I'm not even talking about you got to do a quest like in many RPGs and you have
Sure.
to do chores in the game before you do the thing you want to do. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just like in time that you spend in the menus in the game.
I mean,
when it came out, the first like 3-4 months, and
Okay.
then they progressively fixed it. Yeah.
because I mean, I didn't, I haven't really played through the game. I played through the prologue and went to the first city after that, and I left it at that. Personally, it wasn't for me. But, I didn't feel that, I didn't have that feeling playing the game, like, at all. Like, for me, it felt very fluid, so to say. I didn't really have an issue with that, in terms of that. I actually liked the whole sequencing of the semi-pause thing that happens when you open up the spell thing to do those things. I enjoy that. I think that's good. I've seen that in a lot of other games that I've played. That's fine for me. It's not a
Final
problem.
Fantasy 15 and the remake of 7, they do similar things like that.
Yes. Although I will say, Lawrence, I tried 15 and I don't know if it's the storyline or basically what's happening.
It's definitely the storyline. Like that game, the development of that game was such a clusterfuck.
Like seriously, it just
10 years in the making, and they changed the production team, the directors, the platforms that it was going out for. Initially, it was for the PS3 and the 360, and then it came out for Xbox One and PS4, and eventually PC. Initially, the story was very different. It was about a modern kingdom fantasy where the royal family is a little bit like the Yakuza. This is verbatim from the original director, Tetsuya Nomura. But Tetsuya Nomura is also the creator of Kingdom Hearts. So we know how his storytelling goes. It's
Yay! It's fucking-tastic. Jesus Christ.
And so the people at Square Enix, they pushed him away from the project of Final Fantasy 15 and said, okay, you'll go focus on Kingdom Hearts 3 because we want that game to come out, please. And because he was being pulled in different directions. He was director of Final Fantasy 15, remake of 7, and Kingdom Hearts 3.
Right.
And so obviously, yeah, that wasn't going too well. So yeah, they took the project from him and gave it to someone else. And that person changed the direction of things. And you can feel it also in the proper game, where the first 2/3 of the game, it's like this open world that has a lot of space, but not a very synergetic interactivity like other open world games. And then in the last third of the game, it's very much more restrictive, and it feels rushed a lot. There's parts of the story that are missing. There's parts of the story that are not even told in the game, which is really curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I might have played about 5 hours of it, and I just was so put off by the story itself. Like, I felt like I didn't enjoy it. I was like, it looks really nice. It plays very fluidly, even though I am a fan of the turn-based Final Fantasy. I'm not really a fan of the new way they do it. But I still thought it was relatively well done and like well executed. That story, those first 5 hours were enough to put me off of the game. I was like, nah, not feeling it. Really not feeling it. I am curious about the remake of 7, although I would have really wanted it to be a remake where I play turn-based. I don't really want the action side of it. And that's
There's
kind
no
of
way around it, I think.
I know, and that's really messing with me because if it's, I don't know. But you also told me that it's not at all like only the prologue pretty much follows the same story, and then it kind of develops into something different. Is that kind of what I understood that you told me, or did I understand you wrong?
No, you understood absolutely right. The thing is, without spoiling too much, the original Final Fantasy for PlayStation 1 had 3 discs, right?
Yeah.
And leaving Midgard on the first disc was just the beginning of that first disc, right? Leaving Midgard before you went into the world was like, what, 15% of the game?
Sure.
And the remake is just that 15% of the first disc.
Okay, I gotcha.
Basically, for the remake, there might be a trilogy game.
And they're reworking the whole story because of it. Yeah.
And there's a lot of filler, from what I hear. Like, a lot of filler in the story.
There's
it's like
a lot
Bilbo
of...
the Hobbit. You know?
Yeah.
They're stretching out something that's originally smaller, and they're stretching it out to a point that is not necessary.
It's a fair comparison. Final Fantasy VII Remake is basically the Hobbit movie.
Wow. Ouch. Big ouch. But alright, fair enough.
Solid. I mean, I don't like The Hobbit for the simple reason that The Lord of the Rings was so fucking amazing.
Oh, what the hell happened here?
The Hobbit for me. Huh?
What? What's
I
up?
think we lost the stream on Twitch, or is it just me?
Did we?
No.
Okay, then it's just me.
You sure? Let me see.
You man. Maybe we just lost it now, but oh no, it's ended. You're right.
How? It's still streaming for me.
Yeah, for me too.
Oh,
Weird.
What the fuck? No!
Still, dude, but it's it shows you're online, but then it says the stream has ended.